didn't come this far to only come this far. I hear some people saying things like, when I make it, when I get to the top, I'll keep working hard until I get to the top, until I reach my goal. Let me tell you something, there's no end, winners never stop. If you reach your goal, set a bigger goal. If you get to the top of the mountain, find a bigger mountain. It's the journey.
The journey lasts a lifetime. From the start to the finish, it's a real grind. Spend so many days
Well, here we go right there. We are I didn't have my darn volume on. Got it on now. I'm Walt Blackman, going to be talking about the budget here right now. Hope you enjoy it. If you want to send some comments, you can. We'll be checking out those comments. The agenda today, what we're going to be talking about, of course, 26 budget overview, some of the key takeaways. And then we're going to just get into what LD7 received out of the budget. So before we really get into that, what I want to do is I want to show you what really consists of LD7, and so you can see where it is. And a lot of folks already know. This is LD7. If you don't know, let me go in there a little bit. This is all LD7. So it is the largest landmass here in Arizona for Legislative District 7. I think it's number 2 in the country. We have about 240 plus, 240 plus population in the district. We've got quite a spread. We have Democrats at 39% and Republicans at 60%. And so we got a pretty big spread here. So if you are part of LD7, you are somewhere in here. So we start all the way up in Coconino, slide on over to Navajo County, go on down to Gila County, and then we have areas in Pinell County. So we'll have Apache Junction, Gold Canyon, Flores Junction, and if you go all the way down, we'll have some parts of Oral. So that is the district, and we'll go ahead and get this thing started. So talking about the budget. So let me talk to you first about how a budget really grows. Now, some people will say, you know what, the budget has exploded. How the hell what are you guys doing? You're spending like a bunch of drunken sailors. Right. And you know what? It may seem that way on the outside. However, when we have a budget that grows, the budget grows because of population. So if we take a look at the budget now, that's a correction. It's not 16.2. It is 17.6. So that's a typo. But I wanted to start from the budget from 2010. They had a budget between $8 and $10 billion. It was about $10 billion when I went in too. So some of the things that actually grow a budget is the economic expansion, population growth, rising tax revenues, policy changes, etc., etc., etc. So it's not just about spending when we're talking about when a budget grows. And these are some of the drivers of it. So you could have a flat tax, you'll have the voucher expansion, capital investment, K through 12 funding. That's the largest recipient of our budget. Now, the more people come into the state, the more they bring kids, of course, our budget is going to grow because of that. So we need to be aware of that. We can't just beat up folks. Now, the population growth between 2010 and 2025, 2010 it was 6.4. We jump over to 2025, we are at 7.7. So that is a million plus of people added to our budget. Now, think of it this way. You have a family of one. You start out. And you have a budget, let's do a round number. You have a budget of $100 of one person. Down the line, you get married, you add 5 more people to your family or whatever it is, and you are still using the budget of $100 feeding 5 people plus yourself, 6. I use 5 because I have 5 kids. Not everybody has 5 kids. However, I'm using my circumstance. So there's no way you can survive on that $100 with the growth of that unit. You have to expand. You have to spend more money to sustain it. Our state budgets are the same way. You do not have lawmakers that are just there spending and spending and spending. We have to keep up with the growth of population. And again, 2010, 6.4 million. And then today, 2025, 6.6 to 6.7 million. What does that equate to? We're talking about 304 people a day come into our state. 304 people a day. So that's something that we really want to be cognitive about. And just the growth over the years, again, this is projected. So you will see the budget grow when we are getting in 27, 28, 29, and 30. We're looking at 8.2 million in 2030. Now, why do I show you that? Because the budget will continue to grow. We cannot operate a budget in 2030 on the numbers that we have today. It just won't happen. Essential services will be lost, public safety, so on and so forth. So some of the takeaways on how a budget grows, as I told you, is very simple. The more people you get in the state, the more you have to spend. And it's not frivolous spending. It is growth spending. And these are things that have to be accounted for. So population is a driver, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Tax reforms, so on and so forth. So that will kind of tell you what we do, with the budget. Now, some of the key takeaways from this budget for 2025. So we have revenues of over $18 billion. Okay. The spending balance for this year is $17.9 billion. And we will peak a one-time investment of $1 billion, and we will have a cash flow that is real narrow when we're talking about margins that will forecasted to 2028. Now, some of the budget allocations that are the overarching one is the public safety, which is $12 million. When we're talking, this is LD7 now. I talked about the overarching, the 17 billion. These are dollars that are going into LD7, dollars that I've advocated for to go back into our district. So public safety in LD7, I showed you that map, $12 million. Child development and education, $9 million. That $9 million does not include K through 12, and rural infrastructure projects, internet infrastructure, roads, so on and so forth, $6 million. That is the basic summary of what we have. Now, public safety investments, again, in our district. So we got sheriff's departments, raises, equipment, and K9 units. The raises for the sheriff's departments, we're looking at a 5% raise for DPS, 5% raise for correctional, and the raises and bonuses that our sheriff's departments will get. Some of the city police departments that will see actual funding going into their coffers. We'll see the fire correction, Florence, Coolidge, and Maricopa, not Maricopa County, but Maricopa City. We'll see some extra funding going there. The tribal and rural areas, I want to make something clear. The tribal areas get funded by the federal government, not by the state. However, DEMA and fire district grants are all part of our funding mechanisms. So as we go forward, some of the major highlights. So, for example, $10 million for robotic programs in Apache Junction. So Apache Junction, as I showed you on the map, it was added to my district after redistricting. So with that, we will see a grant, not a grant, but a funding mechanism go to the Apache Junction K through 8 robotics program. And that is $200,000. That is a pilot program for that school. So Apache Junction will get some special programming there. Child care centers in Gila, Snowflake, and Sholo. So the child care centers that are going, that the dollars that are going into Gila County, those dollars typically go in there. Those are ongoing funding. And then the new child development center in Snowflake Taylor with outreach out to Sholo. CTE support programs, JTEDS, and Central Arizona College, they will still continue to be funded, and those are ongoing funding. So some of the transportation infrastructure projects, Riggs Road in our district is the biggest project that we will see. $41 million is going to that in LD7. Woody Mountain Street Lights, that's in Flagstaff, $1.9 million. That is a public safety issue. The Flagstaff Police and Public Emergency Services will be getting monies to that, and we'll be seeing money to roads, bridges within Gila County, Navajo County, and Pinell counties. So everybody gets a little bit. So when we talk about Navajo County, let's look at the highlights. $2.5 million in child care and historic renovation. So let me talk to you a little bit about that. So 1.5 is going to Taylor Snowflake, particularly Taylor, the Taylor, town of Taylor. It is for the development of the Child Development Center. As you know, in rural Arizona, we are a child care desert. Now, the city is not getting into the child care business. What the city is doing is providing a developmental program so people can take their children to the Snowflake or Taylor Child Development Center, and they're able to go to work, which in turn drive revenue. Now, the program is going to partner with the Northland Pioneer College because they have a program at NPC that is a 4-year program where a student goes in and they study child development, and they can do their internships at the Child Development Center, so on and so forth. So it is a revenue economic driver for that area. $7.1 million to sheriffs across the counties, across the district. So that 7.1 million is divided between the counties. We're talking about office upgrades, infrastructure projects, and infrastructure emergency planning. We're going to see an increase in funding in that for Navajo County. As we move on to Coconino County, talked a little bit about the Woody Mountain safety. So we got $2 million going into the Criminal Intel Center. 1.9 million going into the Woody Mountain safety for those lights, and broadband education fire support. So altogether, we are talking a little bit over $3 million going into Coconino County. And in Coconino County, we are talking about the Flagstaff area, which encompasses LD7. Now, those monies will go into the county. They are direct funded to the district in those. The broadband education and fire support, that's coming out of the general fund to their general fund. That's dollars that they're able to get through general fund fundings. That's not a direct allocation. That is from just coming from our general funds. Gila County is going to get some $3 million in fire operations because we've had a lot of fires this past fire season. We will have more fires. So wanted to make sure that they got some money to get what they needed to protect us and mitigate some of those fires. 400,000 police, fire, and support. So we're going to see their sheriff's department and the police department receive some dollars to be able to conduct their business, and then rural education and housing aid. 1.5 is going to the rural conference, not rural conference, the rural committee. Oh, you know what? I forgot what it was. It's a organization. It's a nonprofit. It goes through the county. They get funding from the federal government and us. And what they are going to do is concentrate on rural funding for housing aid and rural education. And we are talking about affordable housing that's going to be going into Gila County, which is a big, big thing. Pinal County, as I talked about before, 10 million for robotics and the robotics going into the AJ. Now, all this, the 10 million is going into those parts that I showed you, Gold Canyon, Forest, Florence, those areas. That's where these dollars are going. They are not just going straight into Pinal County. Now, when we're talking about the sheriff's of funding, that goes to the Pinal County Sheriff's Department, and that is that is distributed around that county. $41 $41 million into the Riggs Road. We're going to be taking care of some veterans, and we're going to be doing some community projects down in the Apache Junction, Florence, Gold Canyon area of the district. That's in Pinal County. Now, special projects, as I said before, Snowflake Historical House, the Jake Flake Historical House is going to get $500,000. They're going to get that through the Arizona Historical Foundation to be able to restore that Jake Flake house that is there. They've been working very hard to get that thing funded. Sam Flake, a good friend of mine, is running that program. They've got to fix the foundation, so on and so forth. That is a revenue driver for our city. They're going to receive some funds. Sholo will receive funding for regional workforce development as a hub. So we'll see more job opportunities coming into Sholo by way of state grants and federal grants. And I'll be showing that to the end. And then there's a University of Arizona Decision Theater that is in our area. They'll be receiving $1 million. That is not one of mine. That is coming from the University of Arizona, which they are pumping into the area in our area up here to put money into our area for the arts. So that's not my ask. So the impact in the grants that our area are allotted, or they are able to get eligible for, we're going to be able to get grants for safety, CTE, housing goals, and we will continue to have increases in our federal matching eligibility. That means, let's say we want to get a grant for a CTE class that is not being funded right now. So whoever the entity is will match whatever the matching dollars come in from the federal government. We are eligible to do that. So you'll see more organizations actually apply for some of these federal grants so they can sustain their operations if they can meet the matching requirements. So that's a big deal for our district. You'll also see one-time funding, state funding in 2026. Again, we'll have a 617 correction. That is not billion. That should not say billion. That should say million. And a one-time spending increases beyond the baseline. And then we'll see 96 million allocated for new capital projects, ADOT roads, DPS facilities, and veterans home. And so we'll see that correction. This one-time state funding, this is what we are pulling. This is what I've pulled from the overall general dollars that come in. So the 617 billion, that's a mistake. It's not billion. It should say million. So please forgive me on that. We'll also see 31 million in salary increases for correctional officers, DPS, and forestry personnel. That is what this budget also does, and an additional 140 million for one-time employee health insurance adjustments. So that's a big deal. We want to make sure that people are healthy, and the ones that are able to get into enroll into these healthcare programs We've put in $140 million for insurance adjustments, $9 million for water quality fund, and $2 million for a cleanup. And that is a cleanup that I'm really not sure where that is. Pulled it out of the budget. I will get more information on that. Now, I will tell you, out of these dollars, these fundings are also included in the additional fundings that we will see come into rural broadband, cyber grants, and innovation programs that we will see come into the district. So on top of what I brought into the district, we will see additional dollars come into our district in 26. So let me, I think we are going to, okay, so as I said, ongoing state spending fund, we talked about that. K through 12, that's a big discussion, $8.9 billion. That's including the base support, special education, and early literacy. Also, we are talking about teacher raises and teacher bonus. So, for example, in Flagstaff at NAU, it is the Teachers Academy. I was part of that push when I first came in, co-sponsored a bill to create the Teachers Academy. So when a new teacher comes out of school through the Teachers Academy, and they dedicate X amount of years as being a teacher, they get a signing bonus. Teachers that are already teaching, they will get performance bonuses, and they will also get a raise. So what we want to do is take care of our public schools. Along with that, reward good teachers and ensure that we have a pipeline of new teachers coming out of the academy, the Teachers Academy, to be able to do that. Also, we'll see funding in universities and community colleges across the district. NAU, of course, they are the biggest grabber of K through 12 post funding and our community college. Border security, a lot of people thought that we were not going to see that. $335 million for National Guard, border fencing, and drug interdiction. So we have put money towards that. And then fire response, particularly in our area, $17.5 million for the Department of FEMA and for aviation, fire suppression, mitigation. So taking the fire season very, very seriously. And again, a part of that when was able to vote on this year's budget, and I'm really thankful that I was able to do that. So let's continue to keep going as we move along. We've got the ongoing spending for 2026. I talked a little bit about that. Don't need to beat up that dead horse. We already know what it is. Budget stabilization fund, over $1.5 billion in reserve for economic downturns. Now, a lot of folks were saying, oh man, they're spending. We have $1.5 billion in reserves for the economic downturns. Representative Chairman Livingston and Senator Kavanaugh, they worked that out to make sure we have money left over. That is not a surplus, ladies and gentlemen. That is reserves. So when HR 1 passes, we will see the federal government start to come into Arizona and swoop up some of the dollars that we get. We are one of the top states that receive federal funding. So we need to prepare for that. We're also going to see public health funding sustained. So we're talking about Medicaid funding, mental health programs, and pandemic preparedness. We want to make sure we don't run into another COVID and we get a lot of people to down. In corrections investment, DOC salary increases in prison infrastructure upgrades. So we're going to see some reserve dollars. The reserve dollars that we have are going to be placed in those buckets: public health, human services, and public safety corrections. Now, We're talking about innovation, environment, and unfunded needs. We're talking about technology and cyber security, environmental priorities, water quality, water funds, unfunded priorities also fit into that. And then tax policy, new tax policy. This past budget, there were no significant new tax relief programs this cycle. However, it's not to say we will not see one next cycle. So it is safe to say that we will definitely uh, see an increase in some of that. So really quickly, I want to talk about the education trends for which also at the end of all this creates a growing budget. We have enrollment right now that is stable for K through 12 at 1.1 million. That's 1.1 million students that we have. We saw a slight decline in 2019. It dropped about 31,000. Those are people moving out of the state, and then it did impact our budget. And also, what impacted the budget were vouchers driving funding ships, and of course, as we know, the vouchers that folks get, ESAs that folks get, and that's a topic of another conversation. And so this is that's the budget, and that's what we have. So here is what I want to really talk about, folks. The budget is it's a living, I would say it's a living, breathing thing, and the reason why I say that, it is because the economy grows. And when the economy grows, the budget grows. And when that happens, we have to spend more money. We can't operate on a budget of the budget that was in 2010, I showed you, which was between $8 and $10 billion, when we've had a population growth of 1.4 million people into Arizona. Just is no way we can sustain that. Let's say we did try to do that. You will see property taxes increase. You will see a decrease in public services. You will see a decrease in public safety. You will see a decline in infrastructure projects like roads, internet infrastructure, so on and so forth, because we would not be able to keep up with the infrastructure projects along with the growth. During this, I didn't talk about roads construction. I'll be talking about that next week. There's a lot of road constructions that we will see within our district. I only kind of touched on it today. A lot of construction road projects going to be going on in Apache Junction, Florence, Gold Canyon areas, and in some parts of the other counties when we're swooping on over to Gila and little south east or southwest, southeast in Navajo County. So we're going to see some of that as we move forward. So here's the deal again. Got it under an hour. I am so happy. 33 minutes. Listen, this is important that I try to get out and talk to folks and let you know where you can get information that you need for what's going on in our district, what's going on in Arizona. Now, what I want to touch on right now, again, I want to kind of talk about some of the discussions that came out of the budget. And we'll be able to close up after that. This is the last highlighter thing that I'm going to do. So there was a lot of talk about it was not a conservative budget. Now, I started out with the original budget coming from the Senate as a big no, because it wasn't conservative enough. However, as progress moved forward, the House got involved with the negotiations, we were able to do a merge. So if you remember last week, I talked about we had three budgets that we could actually go from. And yes, I will talk about the opiate money real quickly. Um, and that's a question from Mountain Daily Star. So the we had three budgets that we were working at. We were working with the two that came out of the House, very conservative one, and then the baseline budget, and then the third one I said we may merge with the Senate, and that's the budget that was agreed on. That was the budget that was signed into law by the governor, and it that involved negotiations. When you have a Democrat governor, you have a House and a Senate for Republicans. You have to work to try to get a budget passed, because here's the deal: if we don't pass a budget, then guess what? Everything closes down except for essential services. Now, who will not get paid in that process? Folks who need their money. Every job is an essential service when you have to put food on the table and you have to pay your rent. So we did not want to have a government shutdown. Some folks wouldn't mind shutting down the government. Some of those folks are probably not receiving paychecks from some services in the state that would be considered non-essential. And we need to make sure that we are continue to meet funding thresholds. So that is why it was the responsible thing to do, not to shut down the government. Now, there were plenty of amendments that were added to the budget, and some of those amendments were voted against because it went against what we were trying to do for the budget. For example, in the budget, there is a ICE component where Arizona will work with the federal government when we are talking about all this ICE, the immigration issues that are going on. Arizona put that in our budget. Now, I'm sure Katie Hobbs, Governor Hobbs had a heartburn about that, but that is in the budget. So the things that were in the budget that conservatives voted for were public safety, border security, election integrity. There were millions of dollars going towards that. Roads, infrastructure projects, K through 12 funding, post K through 12 funding, just a myriad of projects that are needed in the state. Anyone who voted no on the budget, they voted no for police raises, sheriff raises, road infrastructure projects, fire suppression issues or projects, so on and so forth. So there are two sides to every story. Let me talk about a little bit about the opiate money. Now, the Attorney General won a lawsuit, I believe it was last year, and the opiate settlement are grants that law enforcement agencies can apply for. And in those grants, for example, Navajo County will get $500,000 from opiate dollars to develop a transition drug rehab center. Now, it's not a halfway center. It's not a halfway home. It's not that. It has counselors. It has medical providers. It has the counseling programs that someone would need when they are getting out or they are transitioning out of one of our facilities, or they have a drug problem that they need to get help for. $500,000 is going to Navajo County Sheriff's Department. Now, let me tell you how that works. Some folks are kind of worried about whether or not those dollars, who gets those dollars to play with. Now, those dollars, they apply for the grant through the Attorney General's office. They get awarded that grant. Those dollars go to the county treasurer. Now, since it's a sheriff's department project that they want to develop, similar to the one transition center in Yavapai County, Sheriff Rhodes, what happens is that the sheriff's department has to submit their budget ask for that particular center. Okay, then the treasurer, or the board of supervisors, or the president, the CEO of the Navajo County administration, they determine how much money the sheriff's department will get to build their facility. And it's the same with all the other agencies in a county government. Those dollars don't go directly to the agency, as you see. For example, again, we have dollars that are going to law enforcement or to K through 12 funding. Those dollars go to the school districts. The school districts in the schools, they submit their budgets, and then from that, they're able to get paid. Now, I will tell you, lawmakers do not write checks to, in the past, don't write checks for teacher increases. What we did is we made sure this year we had a direct line funding for those bonuses and for the teachers that are teaching all of our kids. So everybody, I don't see any other questions on there other than the Mountain Daily Star. That tells me that this is working. I do appreciate you. Let's see if we can share and like this. It's important that you do that. If you want to go to my website, all you need to do is go to www.votewaltb.com. Go to there and you can check out the newsletter. You can also check out some of this as it is. It'll be uploaded to that. You can also go to X Blackman for AZ. You can log on to there as well. And pretty soon we will be streaming with TikTok. That'll be next week. If you want to see what I am doing for Bill Wise, all you need to do is go to www.azledge.gov and click on House/member. Once you do that, you will be able to follow us in real time and see what we're doing. If you haven't noticed, I started doing live feeds on the floor. I'll continue to do that again on the TikTok. I'll continue to do that again as we move forward. Hey, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this update. As you know, we will continue to do this. It is, since we are Sonny died now, I will be out and about in the area. If you see me, don't hesitate to say, hey, Walt, what's going on? What's going on at the Capitol? And I'll say surprise to you. Make sure you stop on by at the Capitol if you come that way and I'm down there and it's during session. One other thing, everybody, we do session mock sessions. If you want to do that, you want to bring your students down to the Capitol, just get a hold of us, again, at my email or our telephone number at the Capitol. We'll get you in there. Don't have to be a student. You can be an adult. You can be someone who just wants to learn the process. And make sure you come on down and you have some fun with us. Everybody, I am Walt Blackman, Legislative District 7 State Representative. So glad to be able to give you the update. We'll be on next week to talk to you more about what's going on in the district. It's going to be a little bit different because guess what? We're going to be on the road. Going to be doing some of this live in your neighborhoods. Everybody, take care. Walt Blackman, God bless. Stay strong. I'll see you on the campaign trail.
I didn't come this far to only come this far. I hear some people saying things like, when I make it, when I get to the top, I'll keep working hard until I get to the top, until I reach my goal. Let me tell you something. There's no end. Winners never stop. If you reach your goal, set a bigger goal.